In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa. Looking for the right answers to hard and sometimes confusing global events? Look no further. SSM's team brings unique perspectives from across the globe. Our in-depth independent reporting is to make you better understand the world as we evolve.
Yes, we're here, George. George, we're here.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, George.
Yes.
It's good to see you this beautiful Friday morning again. How are you, big brother?
Too. I am awesome. Thank God. The weather is much better this morning in Toronto, in Canada, actually. So it's the heat wave is gone. It's a little chilly right now, so we're enjoying, So we have very beautiful average weather in Canada, in Toronto, in Ontario.
Ontario.
So beautiful, yes.
Beautiful, yes. It's hot in Milan, Central Europe. It's very, very hot, but we're enjoying it. We're taking it in because it's been cold all this while. So what's the point complaining if we have to soak in the heat and prepare for all right, one man that is truly enjoying more, I can see from his point of view, where he's sitting. That's our man Raji Olayinka.
Olayinka Raji.
Look at that
Beautiful.
atmosphere there, George. That looks like a garden.
Wow. Where is Nkwobi?
I'm actually at a client's location.
Where is Nkwobi? Because you're supposed to be eating amala, ewedu.
While he's seated there. Wow. Big Raji, you are welcome. You're welcome. The atmosphere there looks good too.
It looks very
serene, calm, nice. All right, gentlemen, let's dive in. As the world goes on, a lot of things happen, and like we say here, we unleash our creativity in our discussion. So let's begin with what is happening back home. Raji, Tinubu has made a landmark impression on governance by signing the tax reform bill into law. What do you know about this tax reform bill, Raji?
Well, it's until we get the details. The first one that was sent out got a lot of flack from the northern states, from the 19 northern states, who are who are afraid that they may be losing their the ease of the money they normally get, and therefore.
Yeah, we can hear you, Raji. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. They will be losing a lot from the cheap money that used to come from them to them from Abuja, and they were very much they were very much against it, very much against it. So until we get the final details of the contents of the tax reform, we won't be able to make too much comment on it. There have been substantial difference in the original presentation and the signed one. Then there will be a lot more to be said and done.
Yes. Anyway, he signed 4 tax reform bills, George, into law, and he says it aims at promoting equity, simplifying his administration, and boost transparency. And also, the head of that tax reform committee came out to tell us that earnings, household that earns below 250,000 naira or less monthly will not pay that tax, will not be paying tax. That's Oyedele saying this.
Hmm.
So, George, will there be uh, a simplified administration when we see more bodies, more agencies springing up and all that? Will there also be equity in our business and governance? What do you think, George?
Well, I think this is a potential welcome move, like Olayinka Reggie said, because what we're seeing here, the implementation of it is where it all will tell us how it will be, how the effects on the people. So the Nigerian
Mm-hmm.
government is saying that the current tax reform is outdated and unfair to the poor, which is something that even that caption alone is
Mm-hmm.
makes a lot of people will smile until the implementation. With the tax to GDP of just
Mm-hmm.
over 10%, well below African average, they plan to raise it up to 18%.
Mm-hmm.
Without increasing taxes on the basic goods. That's
Mm-hmm.
another welcome news. Now, small businesses welcome the move, especially the exemption from companies' income tax, but they are worried about enforcement and hidden levies. That's one thing.
Okay.
Low-income earners hope for cheaper essentials, but they still remain very cautious. Experts
Mm-hmm.
warn unless the tax officials change how they enforce the rules, the
Mm-hmm.
reforms may backfire. So
Okay.
now the government says that 90% of Nigerians support the reforms. But building trust and awareness will be the real test right there. So what we are
Right there.
looking at, yes, what we're looking at is a welcome move, honestly, because of what we have suffered in the past 8 to 9 years,
Yeah.
under Buhari. But if you take a look at what is really happening with this government, they are very purposeful and intentional in their moves.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
all of a sudden, we are beginning to see the stacks upon stacks upon stacks of, certain moves that are being made. Now, I know you mentioned that the Northerners are a little bit worried. I would like to encourage you. You mentioned the Northerners are a little bit worried. But what we really need to find out is, are we playing on a fair, even ground where everybody from all parts of Nigeria can participate fairly, equally, and justifiably? Because what we're seeing now is part of this country, especially the ones that are so marginalized, can be the ones that are actually paying more, bringing more into the coffers of the government, you know, more than the Northerners. So these cattle rearers, are they paying taxes? The
mm-hmm.
Amajuris, are they paying taxes?
Mm-hmm.
If they refuse to go to school, how good are they to the welfare of the community, of the country? What are they contributing? Because they're scared that the tax reform might affect, the welfare system that has been handing a whole lot of money. They make money in the south and they take it to the north. So that is really where the crux of the whole matter is. I believe that this tax bill is a great move, and it might actually help our president in this coming election. Because if it affects the people favorably and
Mm-hmm.
positively, and a lot of especially low income families, I guarantee you they will want to pray, him to remain for the next
Yeah.
6 years. Yes.
Yes, George, good one. Oh, you dive deep there. Raji and George, the president said this new law, like he put it, said will is aimed to unify Nigerian fragmented tax system. Now, George just highlighted something. We in the south of Nigeria, southeast, southwest, they drink alcohol. Uh, they drink alcohol, and big money is made out of that alcohol. Big tax, big government money. Now, this money goes to also to regions where alcohol is prohibited. Raji, we want you to help us here. Is this not robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of situation? If they are going to look into this tax thing, if really they want to work on this tax issue, reform it, and all of that, Raji, tell us.
Yeah, actually that is my main concern, and their main concern was about the VAT. How VAT will be distributed evenly across the whole country in places where the VAT input may not be up to 1 billion per annum. Meanwhile, they will get 60 billion through the federation account on VAT. Or a place like Lagos where you get up to 800 and something billion in VAT, and they get less than 20% of it. So that was the concern of the North, because they were now going to get, they're no more going to get the cheap money that they used to get from VAT. So it is one of their main concerns. And I don't know where the government got the 90% approval from the public. Because the tax reform had just been signed. So how did they get 90% input from the public? Was it during
Input from
the
the public.
what, was it
Well,
during the public meetings? You know. So
well,
George wants to say something.
okay, George.
you know something, Ola Karaji, like sometimes when they publicize these things, and then it's not like, I don't think that statistically that the 90% they're saying is is correct, is accurate. But I believe that based on what these taxes are going to be doing for the public, especially for the low income families, and maybe interviews were done to certain people, and there was has been approval being given. When they say that, I think is an assumption based on the fact that it is a welcome move that will help a lot of poor people, especially in the south and southeast and southwest, because these are the people that are working. These are the people that actually, taxes are being collected from them when they work and all that kind of stuff. And the businesses, they are paying taxes, and most of these things are happen basically in the southern part of Nigeria, not in the northern part, because most of these uneducated individuals in the north, most of them are not contributing to the VAT. They're not contributing to anything. And even these animals that they're killing, and what kind of taxes are they paying on the nama and all the goats and animals that they're selling? We don't know. There are ways of collecting VAT from taxes from them, so we don't know that. So these are the things
We
that
don't
needs to. We don't know that. So these are the
we
things.
don't
But
know
I
that.
know that the people that are importing goods into Nigeria, the people that are actually selling their goods into Nigeria, the people that have shops and businesses, these people, it's easy to collect taxes from them. But these are the ones that are begging, the ones that are not in school, the ones that are just sitting around in the Malam's house and eating a lot of food. What are they contributing? All they have is population, and no, if you look at the ratio between the south and the east, it's actually robbing Peter to pay Paul, and that's what it is. So a time has come when Nigeria must insist on moving these Amajiri people, and most of them, to go to public schools and understand what we are doing, not just religious school where they will be taught only Muslim, understanding about things. So we need to bring them out and take them to school, because these are intelligent people, and if well educated and well harnessed, they will become, good citizens of Nigeria. They will contribute to the welfare of the nation as a whole, just like the South is doing.
Georgie, awesome. Okay, gentlemen, also to crop up on this topic, I want us to also ask Raji, the chairman of that committee, the chairman on the presidential committee on fiscal policy and tax reform, Taiwo Oyedele, he said this new tax law that families below 250,000 naira, yes, will be exempted from it. Now, how will that be done? Because we know we don't have data, we don't have accurate
That's it.
data of yes, and a lot of times we just mobile up things, boom, 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 boom. So don't you think some rich people might even want to fall under this category of those exempted, and thereby the government losing out on the plan. Raji, what do you think?
So this 250,000, is it per annum or per month?
Per
How
annum?
many people per annum? That
Yes.
comes to 20,000 naira a month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just semantics, because already they are not paying. I don't think they are paying any tax. Because it would be wicked of you to be taxing somebody who is earning 20,000 naira a month, which is way below the minimum wage, right? So
Mm-hmm.
until we get to the details of the tax reform bill,
Mm-hmm.
we may be talking out of context. So let us see exactly what was signed, so
Let
that
us
we'll
see
be able
exactly
to.
what was
I,
signed.
I'd like to
Yeah.
Yeah.
encourage you, what you
Go
are
ahead.
really saying is very important, Even the
Mm-hmm.
people that are being paid minimum wage of $70,000 an hour per month, if they are really earning that per month, so it comes up to be 840,000 per
Mm-hmm.
year. So
Yeah.
is
And
it people that are earning 250,000 naira per month that are exempted, or is it people that are earning because it cannot be 250,000 per
annum.
annum.
Per
It
annum.
cannot
Yeah.
be,
Per
because if
annum.
it is, it doesn't make any sense. Even the
Okay.
people that are earning 70 minimum wage do not qualify. So I think it must have been those that are bringing in 250,000 naira per month versus those that are earning just 70. So that's what I think it might be, and it will help a lot of families, especially in this situation that we have been put in that country, because of inflation, and other things that has affected us negatively in the country, especially
Mm.
the low income families.
Mm. Yes, viewers, let's just say that we are discussing the new landmark, they call it, tax reform bill that has been put into law. Tinubu signed these four tax reform bills yesterday, aiming at promoting what the government said, promoting equity, simplifying his administration, boost transparency. So we want to know what also our viewers think about this. So if you have any thoughts, you want to give us an opinion, also you're open to do that. But meanwhile, Raji, while we wait to see more on it, I think we might just have to. Uh, I think it's a good move. I want to commend the government for this, George. It's a good move. Nigeria has not really focused on tax. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a is a tax man. He understands that phenomenon. So, but I think it's a good move. This might help a lot economically for Nigeria. I
if it's
believe so.
if it's well
Well,
implemented, if it
yes.
is well implemented, because most of the time the devil is in the details. So
Mhm.
unlike Olaike Raji said, if when the details come out and we take a look at it and break
Mm.
it down, then we can understand the advantages and the disadvantages. So far
Okay.
it's been signed, but the details are not out yet. But also, even after the details, implementation is the key. If it is well implemented, then the people that are affected positively might rejoice. But we know Nigeria. If Nigeria happens to them, then all of a sudden there might be some issues, in implementation and how it's going to be done. Like what you just
Let
mentioned.
us.
What if some
Mhm.
people that are earning much more all of a
Mhm.
sudden want to scale down in order to, get themselves out of
let,
that tax bracket?
Mhm. Mhm.
let us always remember,
Mhm.
Tinubu has said that he's coming to widen the tax net.
Widen the tax
So
net.
tax net. So
Okay.
let us keep that in mind, so that it won't be like, say, he's giving us a gift with the left hand and taking it back with the right hand.
Mm.
That's another issue there.
That's another issue
Uh,
there.
But I mean,
but
it's a
I
potential.
want to
It's
be
it's a potential
I
thing
want
there.
to be I want to be optimistic. I want to be optimistic. And it is for my sake that I should be optimistic.
That's
Yes.
correct.
But you cannot be in that bracket. You make much too much money. You're already
You
high
gotta,
there. So we're gonna be
uh,
collecting taxes from you. But
I'm
what might
talking. I'm
happen,
talking
Olayinka
about.
Reggie, what might happen is that
I'm,
since
I'm
most of
talking
these
about
other poor people,
90%.
most of these poor people, since they're not paying, they might add a little 5% on yours in order to accommodate.
The, no government has ever come to tax the rich.
no government has
They
ever
always
come to
tax.
tax the rich.
No, they always tax the poor.
They always tax the
That
poor
is global. Yes,
because
because
the,
the
yes.
because
the
the
rich
rich
now have
know
a way
how
of
to. No, they
maneuver
have
their
the.
way.
Yes, they have the
Yes.
money to hire experts, find the loopholes, and implement it in their businesses in order not to pay. Can you imagine Donald Trump? Donald Trump, in all the years that he was in business before he became a politician, he was bragging about it. And he told them, I'm a smart man, I'm a smart businessman. You create the loopholes, I take advantage of it.
Of
He
it.
only paid $78 in 1 year with all the billions he was making. So, and that's why he was able to, dish out thousands of dollars, millions of dollars to some of these politicians. Even he donated to even Clinton's, during his time. But
Yeah, yeah,
though
yeah. He gave
that
some
money,
donations.
the money that they pay is basically, hey, find a way to hide the loopholes for us and let us know where the loopholes are so we can pay people to go find it out also so we can save billions. So that's what it is. It's a game. It's a rich man's
It's a
game.
game. It's a game. Wow. Thank you, George. Viewers, you are tuned into SSM Friday International Update. Guys, let's look at the small tragedy. Well, it's not a small tragedy.
It's a
Right
huge
there
one.
in Africa, yes, Central Africa Republic, 29 students killed in an exam hall while they were sitting for their final exam. Um, George, I know you follow
Yes.
the African
Yeah.
stories.
It's
That's a
crazy.
clip of it there. Go ahead, George. Tell us.
Yes,
What
it's
did
a,
you?
they, yeah, the Central African Republic, they are in mourning as we speak. 29
Mm,
students have died in a tragic stampede during a high school exam in Bangui,
mm,
Central African Republic.
mm,
And the panic was caused by an explosion at an electric transformer, triggering mass
mm,
confusion among nearly 6,000 students sitting, take their, baccalaureate exams. And over
mm,
280 students were injured. The president has
mm.
ordered the hospitals, not to charge anybody to make sure that all the students that are injured are going to be, nobody, they're not going to pay any money. So the government also declared a national mourning period, and suspended all exams. And survivors described the terrifying scene: narrow, exits, overcrowded halls, and chaos as students try to escape. And the country continues to grapple with the security challenges and political instability, adding pressure to all the fragile systems that has already been taking place in that area. So it is a
Oh my
sad
God.
story. Our
It's,
condolences to all the families that this tragedy affected, and even the
mhm,
students. And the question is, it's not about the physical injury, it's about the psychological impact upon these young people. It is
mhm,
such a situation that shouldn't have happened if all care has been taken. But I mean, a transformer blew. We don't know what caused it, and it wasn't like somebody put a bomb there or whatever the case might be. But children were just trying to escape and they saved their lives, and many 29 students died. It is so
mm.
sad. It is so sad.
So
Imagine
sad
your
indeed.
child going to school to take an examination, and then news comes that you have to go and identify the body. Can
Can
you
you
imagine
imagine
what the
that?
students, what the families are
Yes,
going through? It is
going
so
through.
sad. God
Reggie,
help them.
Yes.
sad news from that part of Africa. Central Republic, African Republic is known to be a very wealthy country by a standard of mineral resources and all that, but they are still grappling with poverty, with very abject poverty. Raji, how could this happen to this country?
francophone. It's a francophone country. Its economy is controlled by France. Its budget is given by France. And the after Bokassa, after
Yeah, that's
Bokassa's madness, that country has never been has never had peace. Unfortunate for the incident that happened, but it's also a matter of, you see, when situations happen and there's panic, there's always casualties. Because
yes.
I don't think that it was just the noise of the explosion that caused a lot of panic. And then the doors became an issue.
Oh, I think we lost Raji there.
Yeah, we lost Raji. So what
It's okay.
he was basically
Yes,
trying to
the
explain
noise,
was there were
panic.
a lot of exits
Yes.
from the building.
Okay.
So everybody was clamoring to go through the same door, and a lot fell, and people were just stepping upon them, and while they were trying to escape, and many died.
That panic.
That's very sad.
Okay.
So this actually, you see, what happens with situations like this is when now all of a sudden they gotta be mandated that when there is a gathering of such number of people, there must be enough exit route that if anything like this happen, students can actually exit from different areas. Emergency
Yes.
exits must be created, not to go back into the same type of thing again. That next time when they're gonna have crowd of people coming together that way, they must find places where for them to be able to actually, in case of any emergency, there will have be multiple exits so people can save their lives. And this is exactly what happened.
What happened? Viewers, so we are talking about this tragedy that happened in Central African Republic. 29 students killed in an exam hall stampede. And what George and Raji is saying is this thing was caused mainly by the panic, the smoke panic, and everybody had to run, boom, 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 and they found themselves stepping on each other, and sad news. So our condolences to those family. George, I think the numbers might have increased by now.
It's very possible because these are early estimates. Very
Yes,
early.
yes, very early. All right, Raji, welcome back. Before we go on a short break, let's just talk small on our vice president that is in Ethiopia for an official visit. Nigerian Vice President Shetima is in Ethiopia. He says he's there for I think it's an environmental activity initiative program. George, do you have that story? Our
Yeah,
vice
the vice
president.
president, Kashim Shetima has arrived there yesterday at Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for an official state visit at the invitation of the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. He was
Yes,
received by the
yeah,
Ethiopian Foreign Minister Dr. Gideon Timothewa and other diplomat officials. So I believe that this particular situation is done very publicly like this, and it was implemented immediately because of the rumor of the vice president and the president not being not being in good terms.
yes.
So yeah, so that's what is a political move. And Shetima will
Okay.
participate in the launch of Ethiopia's Green Legacy Program aimed at planting 20 billion trees over 4 years to combat the climate change and what they call deforestation. The vice president will also tour industrial agricultural zones to boost bilateral ties in agriculture and industrial development between Nigeria and Ethiopia. Welcome
Okay.
news. The vice presidents
Welcome.
will. So all we are seeing is, the visit marks a very key effort in expanding Nigeria's regional cooperation on climate action and economic growth. So they did this, yeah, Indians will call it shine face
Okay.
to look good, because rumors emerged that Shetima has not been found anywhere. He's not doing anything. He's been a lame duck. So now the president, the government now decides to send him on there, make it public, and make sure that everybody knows about it, and so that
Nice.
the rumor will calm down a little bit.
Yeah, come
But
down a little bit. Yes,
yes,
Raji.
Yeah.
Shine face. This is
Shine
what George
face.
has timed it. Another thing is, let's look at that initiative. That's a very good initiative. Africa is taking off what makes the continent, the vegetation, the forests, the trees. Let me give this small story. I used to remember Festac in Lagos.
Mm-hmm.
Festac back in the days had beautiful um, trees, flowers, made it so beautiful. It was, I grew up seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some years later, I visited Festac and I couldn't believe what I saw. They've
Mm-hmm.
cut down the whole tree around Festac. Raji, tell us, are we helping the natural vegetation by cutting trees, or we should do more to plant trees and? Mhm.
Across most of the north, there's need for us to be planting trees that will grow in those arid areas. But I
Mhm.
don't think anything has been done. I don't think, yes, afforestation programs are not going on very well. I really love the initiative of the Ethiopian government to
Mhm.
grow, was it 2 billion trees?
Yes,
That's
something like
about
20 billion.
20 billion.
20.
billion.
That's awesome. That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I heard of one man in was it in India who has spent 33 years of his life planting trees, planting
Hmm.
trees, and he has changed the ecology of the place.
Can you imagine?
Long gone plants, animals have have now come back.
Hmm.
The beautiful Bengal tiger is now present in those forests, and there's rejuvenation of the land, rejuvenation of the land. I think afforestation programs should all be going on every time, especially across the north. The Sahara is coming lower south, and people are moving from there down south and
Hmm.
crowding instead of planting trees that will stop the advancement of Sahara down south.
Sarah down south.
Yeah. Mm.
Good one. So, George, we should do more in this program also to
Yes.
encourage tree planting in Nigeria, mainly too.
But you
Um,
see,
Yeah.
education
mhm,
is very, very important. I mean, what we need to do is okay. You see how Allah was just basically, telling us the advantages of the planting of the trees and stuff like that.
mhm, mhm,
Because of the ecosystem. Now, a lot of people they are interested in what they want to get now. Cut the trees
mhm.
down. Let me build my house and stuff like that. If you come
Okay.
down here in Canada, there are certain things, the trees that are planted on the streets, you can't cut it. It belongs to the government. Even in front
Okay.
of your house, they plant these trees, they make sure that these trees are there, and if you cut it, they're going to penalize you. So now, and that is supposed to be that way because number one, what we fail to understand in places or, metropolitan cities where there are no trees, you begin to see a whole lot of, disbalance per se when it comes to the
Mhm.
oxygen and the carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide
Yeah.
and all those type of things.
Okay.
But when you have a lot of trees, as a matter of fact, this is very important. There was a time when this place was it was the kind of humidity and the kind of heat that we had. And I have a friend of mine. He, in his house, in front of his house, is huge tree, very big. I went to visit him. He was sitting outside under the tree. You will not
Nice.
believe that. Listen to this. You will not believe this. When I got out of my car, the heat was so hot, the humidity, everything. When I sat down with him under those trees, it's so incredible. It was almost
Wow.
like there was a cooling system under the tree. And I was asking him, he started laughing. He's like, this is what we like in Nigeria. And that's
Mhm.
what that man is from Nigeria also. So you
Okay.
see, the quality of air that you breathe and the amount of
Yeah.
oxygen that you
Mhm.
inhale can actually
Yeah.
determine how your well-being, your physical well-being, your
Mhm.
health, your health also.
Your
So
health.
these are the things that is, lacking in some places where there is no, what you call a community planning or city planning and all those type of
Mhm.
things. Everybody will
Mm.
do their own thing. They cast off
Yeah.
restraint, trees are cut down without any regards to what the ecological system in that area. So it's very, very important that people get educated. And as a matter of fact, when we are encouraging people, like what happened in First Act in the 70s, we can begin to plant trees right now, knowing that those trees, when they grow, they bring not only certain goods, fruits or whatever to increase the economy, but also to help us breathe better.
Breathe better. Help us breathe
Yeah,
better. So,
yes, Mark,
yes.
across the Yoruba land, there are designated areas where you cannot plant, you cannot enter there to kill the animals. They
Okay.
they mysteriously call it Igboro, which means
Igboro,
that
yes.
Igboro, but they
Yeah.
are conservation
Sacred,
centers.
sacred
They are,
place.
yes,
Yeah,
they
more
are
like.
conservation centers. There are some
Okay.
streams and rivers in which you cannot fish. There are some areas you cannot go, so that they will preserve the trees, the herbs, the ecology of the area
Mm-hmm.
for for our growth. A lot
For our
of
growth.
medicinal herbs have been cut off and cleared to make place to make room for houses and habitations. We
Hmm.
have lost a lot of these herbs.
We have
Some
indeed.
Igboros have been ventured into, and animals in there have been killed to make pepper soup and all those things. And then we are losing those animals because their population gets on being depleted. Very soon, we will not find them. There was an article
We need.
I read
Okay.
somewhere where when was the last time you saw a firefly?
Mhm.
Last time you saw a firefly, you'll be surprised that some people in our generation have never seen a firefly.
Hmm.
Never seen a firefly because their habitation have been cleared and they can no more breed.
Talking about habitation, animals going extinct, and all of that, I think will have a program on this someday because it's getting real serious. Nigeria is losing its habitation. A lot of animals are being eaten, and this is what brings. Because we talk of tourism, we talk of people coming to our country. So imagine Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia, all of these countries make big money from people wanting to come see lions and elephants and all of that. And we had all this before, but we've eaten it all. We've killed them all. I remember growing up, going to Yankari Game Reserve, going to
Yeah.
Bagwada Lake Hotel, and
Mm.
some of all these places, Ondo, Wakiki, spring sports. We had all those animals then back then, but now I heard they've all gone. So let's talk more on this. People don't have this
It's very,
awareness.
very, it's very, very
Nobody's.
important. Even in
Yes.
Canada here, there are animals you cannot kill, like
Okay.
raccoon. They're
Okay.
a complete mess. They come, they want to overtake they will take your house because they live in the
Hmm.
roofs, but you
Yes.
can kill them. They are causing havoc and causing a lot of money. Some places, when you go to buy a house, you have to pay a lot to clean the raccoons and try to cover the places where they go. And they're like almost like humans, but they eat anything. But it's just for the ecological balance. Why the government say you can't kill them, you can't kill the geese. Even geese sometimes in this country, when they're passing through the road, the whole
Mhm.
traffic is stopped.
Can you imagine?
You can't kill them.
Nice. All
You
right,
can't kill them.
guys. Beautiful. Let's do a small break. Viewers, it's fun here. This is News Echo Friday World Affairs, and I'm here with George from Toronto and Raji from Lagos. Let's come back a few minutes.
In a
Thank you.
world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa.
Hi there, I'm Mary Keurig, and I am a businesswoman in the United States, but I'm also the Global Content Vice President for the Sub-Saharan Open University in Nigeria. I could not be prouder to work with Dr. Osita Anamika and his team on helping to create not just entrepreneurs and skill-based talent that will get out into the workforce and make a living for themselves, but also young leaders. And to that end, with this integrity-rich university environment that's accredited now, and it's just an amazing opportunity for anyone there of any age to jump on board and learn, we want to let you know about a new offering that we have. We have a global governance and diplomacy course now provided by a whole team of people that crosses several countries to put together these resources and lots of great information for those of you who might be on the path toward public service and diplomatic service, NGO leadership, that sort of thing. We hope that you will walk through this open door and enjoy.
A year ago, I wrote a book titled The Final Solution, and I was trying to say to the rest of the world that there are challenges ahead. Now, a prophecy did come, and that prophecy is coming to pass. But I'm telling you, the final solution has been found many years ago in the Bible, because the Bible simply says righteousness exalts a nation and sin is a reproach to the people. So I want you to know that you can get solutions to problems in Ukraine, in Russia, in Nigeria, indeed all parts of the world. We need that solution, and the solution is straightforward. Please get a copy of my book. It's the Final Solution by Bishop Schengen Johnson, and you can find it in Kindle, in Amazon. Just type Bishop Schengen Johnson, The Final Solution. It's very, very small book you can read within 2 hours, but it contains the final solution. Do get a copy. Not getting it is doing disservice to humanity. Don't forget the final solution.
Gentlemen, you welcome back, George, Raji. It's good to have you guys here. The Iranian supreme leader has insisted that the U.S. strike gained no achievement. It says the nuclear facility is still running. Da 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 da. Also, we know that the United States Secretary of Defense, that's Pete Hegseth, slammed press over their coverage of that whole thing. So we're having two sides of the story now. Some people say Trump and his people say it was they cleared that whole facility. They obliterated the system. Now the other side are saying they didn't do much. It was just some small strike. Gentlemen, let's dive into Iran and United States strike. George, let me start with you. What do you think? What's happening? Is there some power show here?
Should I be the one to start this, or should we allow Olai Karachi?
Yeah, because Raji has a lot to say too.
I know.
Raji,
Well,
yeah.
anyway, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei says Iran slapped America's face with a strike on a U.S. base in Qatar after U.S. Israeli attacks on Iranian nuclear sites. But you know what we're seeing here. If you look at what is really going on, he's been in hiding for many days, more than going to 10 days right now. So finally, they decided to bring him out, but they didn't bring him out. If you look at that news, you see where he is. You will see that it's a green screen that they use. You know, he's still in the bunker. He didn't come out. You know, he did not. They didn't release him. If you look at that, you look at the curtain, you look at his picture on the wall. It was all placed there as green screen. He's still in the bunker. You know, Khamenei is warning U.S. against further attacks and claim Iran could strike again at any time. The U.S. dismissed Iran retaliation as weak, while the UN nuclear agency confirmed the Iranian nuclear site suffered very considerable damage. So what you're seeing here, one person is saying, you know, we have obliterated, you know, and that was a very, very putting the cart before the horse type of situation. In a situation like this, when you make this such a move, you will wait and see, you know, the extent of the damage before you start talking. You didn't see anything. It was done in the dark, and you come out openly to make a statement. You know, we obliterated it. And then when the facts are coming out, you start fighting those people who are bringing the facts out. So it's not the way it's supposed to be done. If you follow the political protocols, when a situation like this happens, you ought to wait. Let the facts be found, then you can come and make a statement. So, you know, the point is, Iran is saying you didn't do much, okay? And then, despite the right denial of full losses, officials admitted key facilities were badly damaged. And a ceasefire broken by Trump is now in place, and Iran began reopening airspace and restoring normal life. As a matter of fact, U.S. is actually, pursuing Iran for a deal, offering all kinds of perks for them, even releasing cash money and all kinds of things that has been seized. So you see that I don't know the reason why they will go and do such a thing and then turn around again and want to make peace. It doesn't make any sense to me. Because,
right.
Really, do you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
now, but
very well.
over
Very well.
1,000 people reportedly killed in Iran and 28
Yes.
in Israel during the 12-day conflict that took place. And then
Yes.
finally, what we're seeing is U.S.-Iran talks resume. But Iran's parliament is moving to end cooperations with the UN nuclear,
United States. Yeah.
watchdog. Finally, let me say this. If I was to be in in their shoes, if the damage wasn't done that much, and they can continue with their nuclear armament, they will go secretly and produce this thing fast. Because the reason why US cannot go after North Korea, the reason why they can't go in many countries, they can't go and just bomb them and attack them any kind of way, is because they have nuclear warheads. And they can release it as mad people and they clear the whole world. So that's exactly what Iran might even end up doing this time. So we need to be very careful.
Yes. Okay. Raji, let's hear from you.
I'll start from Sir George's conclusion. Do you know that Israel is keeping the whole world in a blackmail by the Samson option that they have? The Samson option is that should there be any threat to Israel, Israel can bring down the whole world onto everybody. Iran is from a very deep civilization. Iran will not do that, even if it has nuclear weapons. And in fact, their foreign minister at the United Nations has said this, that Iran has no intention of producing nuclear weapons. If America will stop selling to the region billions of weapons, including nuclear things that Israel now has, if Israel could be persuaded to disarm, not produce nuclear weapons, Iran has no intention of producing nuclear weapons. You have to understand that these guys are from a very deep and ancient civilization. Their civilization was not based on violence, the kind of violence that the Western civilization has been based on. Western civilization has been based on violence, and violent rise has so much liabilities. Violence rise. So you compare the rise of the Western civilization. In fact, the West has no civilization at all. All that they have is violence and bullying. You can compare how the West has developed against how China has developed. China has never gone to war with any country in the last 50 years. Uh, the state of the world, the terrorism, the lack of safety, the fear, and everything that's happening in the world today is from the West. If the West will stop violence, there'll be more peace. But the West depends on violence. That's why the military industrial complex continues to develop more weapons of mass destruction. Now, going back to Iran, I was mentioned again, Iran is from a very ancient civilization. You can even see how the Iranian rep at the United Nations was talking that if they could have gone on with walloping Israel more, but they wanted Israel to save face, and they want Trump also to save face. So all the rantings from Trump is just because the Iranians decided that, look, it's better for us to give them a vent so that the situation will not be like the agreement the world had with Germany after the First World War. That prepared the Germans for the Second World War.
Thank you very much, Raji. Raji, you took your time to explain this. George, before we come in, our
let's
diva,
welcome our diva,
yes,
brightening the place up for me. Oh my God, baby, you look fine. What is this now? Why are you doing this to us? Why didn't you come on time now? We could have enjoyed you all through. Look at now, my face is smiling. You know, with all this is Olayinka Raji is pouring out. My face was so sad until I saw your face. I don't your Rama.
Just one more sentence, please. Just one more statement.
Okay.
Most of the attack on Iran came from Qatar. That's why the Iranians
the military base, United States military base in Qatar and Iraq.
So it wasn't actually Israel that was attacking Iran. It was the U.S.
Okay.
Almost all the attack came from Qatar and came from. That's why the Iranians had to give a symbolic, send a symbolic message to Qatar. And Qatar has been in the center of terrorist funding.
Yes.
For so
long.
My question is this, because I have to respond to, Reggie, you're talking about Iran, not being, it's a civilized country, it's an ancient civilization, it's this and that. But from their own mouths, all the threatening against and annihilating Israel is still going on. From their own quarters, they are sponsoring Hezbollah, they are sponsoring Hamas, they are sponsoring the Houthis, and they are giving them money, to continue the attack on these people. So let me finish. Can I finish? I didn't talk when you were talking, please. Let me just finish. So what I'm saying is this. You can come and tell us what you think, because that's what you think. It is not what is. You're not an Iranian. You're not in their government. But their government, they are still doing these evil things against this small country. Can I continue? Let me finish.
Are you not telling us what you think?
No. Wait a minute. Hold on. I am saying.
I know when we come to this topic, I know there will be.
But you're being rude. You're interrupting me. You're gonna allow me to speak. Let me finish and then you come. Two people cannot talk at the same time. That means nobody's talking. So what I'm saying is, I want you to consider all these facts, why you are saying that they are not. Because even yesterday, there was a threat against Israel that they will continue. And then you're talking for them while they are talking something else, verbatim, in the presence of everybody else. So let's be careful how we are standing for a nation that have decided that this is the way we're going to do things, and then they continue to do that, and the proofs are there that they're doing it, versus you saying that they are not.
All right, gentlemen. I want us continue this next Friday, probably, so that we can run through what we have. The studio is giving us more time, few more minutes. There is something I want us to talk about, and I'm happy BD is here. Yesterday, a very charismatic criminal, in Sweden died, and he started that terminology we use called Stockholm syndrome. The Stockholm syndrome story. I don't know if some of you know that story. A young man called Clark Olofsson in Sweden back in the 70s, 73 exactly. Um, they went to rob, and somehow the people they met at the bank fell in love with the robbers. They had that relationship. So that was how the Stockholm syndrome became a terminology. Now, I want us to look at it with our country, Nigeria. Stockholm syndrome. During the elections last year, we were saying this, we were using this as a phrase. Nigerians have the Stockholm syndrome. That is, somehow they love their slave masters. It's just basically a slave that falls in love with his slave master. So he doesn't want to escape. He doesn't want to leave. He likes that bondage, that lifestyle. He falls in love with it. So, BD, let me ask you, with that story of the man, the Stockholm syndrome man dying yesterday, do you think Nigerians have that syndrome of loving their slave master, those that put them in this perpetual suffering? BD, tell us, what do you say about this?
It's an obvious thing in Nigeria. Nigeria is a country where the oppressors protect, guide, eulogize their oppressor. It is a common thing. Do you understand? Nigerians do this thing on a daily basis. That's why most times you that even you're a speaker, you're a talker, sometimes you get discouraged because the people you're speaking for, the people you're fighting for, the people you're talking, you're trying to educate with your words, with your information, will keep fighting you. Nigeria is a country where there's one guy in Ekiti State now that is in jail for stealing a yam. He was sentenced. He's in prison for stealing yam. And you and I know before someone will steal foodstuff, the person is hungry. And they arrested him, took him to court. Before you know it, he has been jailed. You remember a guy they said, that was in Ibadan, that said almost 20 years. The mother came out to talk.
For stealing a goat too.
A foul. It was a
Foul,
foul.
yeah, chicken. Yes.
Yeah, it was a foul. 20 years until the mother now, someone courage to bring it to social media. Now people now started. And at the end, the boy did not actually stole that foul. It was a setup. Now, even if he stole that foul, is it enough to judge someone? Do you understand? And then someone could be one in a town like Ibadan. Ibadan is a developed town. It's not in a war. It's not in a village. So, and Nigerians will see all those people who steal to eat, who steal to survive, who even burn them alive, kill them. But when we see these politicians who has kept us where we are, who are stealing our money, who are taking our money, we eulogize them, we protect them. Do you understand? We can die for them. So Nigeria, if there's any country in this world that is well this Stockholm syndrome, I think it's Nigerians.
George and Raji. Yes. Go ahead, Raji.
Look, it is a known fact of human for the human. The human being will praise the person who feeds him, not the person who frees him. Not the person who frees him. You praise the person who feeds him. So it's not so much a Stockholm syndrome as a nature of man. And I don't think Nigerians are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. That Stockholm syndrome is deeper than just falling in love with your or looking up to your oppressor. So I don't think it's that. I've seen places where people have come out, people who cannot even afford a tube of yam have come out and blasted somebody who thought that he could buy them with his money. So there are still places, there are still a lot of people in Nigeria, common men on the roads in Nigeria who still have integrity, who still have character, who will not be easily taken by somebody because he has money. So second syndrome is not a
Okay, so
problem.
that's your own view on this, George.
Hmm?
We from the diaspora side, Nigerians, we see that thing more, because I know a lot of diaspora organization, Nigerian diaspora organization, we want to do things to say, listen, you people, want to come in, want to do this, blah blah blah, but they reject that. They feel no, we are okay with this. We're
Yeah.
okay, George.
Listen. The second syndrome. I mean, is a fancy name that has been given to what you described.
Yeah,
It describes a situation where hostages or abused victims develop a psychological alliance with their captors or abusers,
that's
and often out of a
yeah.
perceived survival strategy. Okay, in a Nigerian situation, what you are seeing, you are given no choice. You're given no choice. If weaponization of poverty is one of those choices and the only choice you have, therefore, when they steal your money and they come and they give you a little bit of stipends or crumbs from under the table, you're so happy and you're clapping for them. What you see with the Nigerian situation, apply metaphorically, to Nigeria, one might argue that the country, or more accurately, its people often exhibit symptoms of that resemble Stockholm syndrome, but it is not. If they are given the opportunity, they will choose otherwise. But there are no choices. It's almost like, okay, you don't have enough money to feed your family, and then somebody is coming, or maybe you're struggling with paying your bills, and somebody comes and say, the opponent is giving you 5,000 naira to vote for this person. What that person is doing is thinking about their stomach, for today or tomorrow. Let me just eat and survive until tomorrow. So
But
that's what you see.
Raji just said it's not in all cases that there are some Nigerians that walk with their head up too,
Well,
even
you
in that.
see, you see quite a few number of them that are in any country, in any place, in any family. You will see different characters and people that behave differently, though they are raised in the
Okay.
same family by the same parents.
Yes.
So in Nigeria itself, people has been backed against the wall to the point where it is almost like the only thing they can see is survival mode. Is this particular 5,000 naira or 2,000 that will be given to me right now? Let me just go sell my. It's almost like selling
Yes.
your birthright
That's it.
syndrome. Selling your
Yeah.
birthright syndrome.
Your parents. BD,
That's it.
thank you, George. BD, you were going to say something because we also saw in Edo young men, standing all the way from the airport entrance to the plane where the governor was taking his flight, hailing the governor.
How many
Uh,
of
the,
them?
eh?
Now, I see,
What's
Let me
the
not say
number of
a
them?
few of them.
Go ahead.
I
Go
see,
ahead. BD.
I quite agree with Saraji, but you see, when I'm talking, I talk based on benchmark. Do you understand? Now, if I'm working with 100% in figure and I'm getting 30% or 20%, I can't tell you I'm getting results. But if I'm getting 40%, I will say, oh, at least we are trying. I'm not talking about 50. Do you understand? What is the benchmark of those people who will stand up? It is very low in Nigeria. It's just few people. Majority of Nigerians will eulogize these people. Now, as I already said, is human rights, people who feel them. The truth is that these people don't even feel them. I'm telling you, if you're talking maybe side in the northern part of Nigeria, where they do charity a lot, I would say, but in this part of the world, they don't. But because they keep hoping that one day this honorable will look my side and give me something, this senator will look my
Something.
side. Do you understand? They keep living on this hope that eventually might not come to reality. So what Sarah is saying is true, but the benchmark is what we're looking for. If I'm to work with 100%, I'm getting 15, 20%. I'll tell you that there's no progress. That's actually what I'm looking at. We have people who will stand up, but the percentage is quite minimal. So we can't
Very low.
say we have good Nigerians who will stand against them.
So, viewers, basically what we're discussing is the Stockholm syndrome thing, the concept. And yesterday, the man that started that whole concept passed away. So we're relating it into the Nigerian context, and we're asking if Nigerians are in love with their hostage, the slave master kind of thing. So if you have any opinion on that, viewers watching, we have some numbers here. You can also put your thoughts. That's a picture of that man, Clark Olufsen, that they started that concept. He passed away yesterday,
At the
age
age of
78.
78. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
see,
gentlemen.
this is very, very important because sometimes, sometimes these are hidden things that are happening within our communities and society, and it continues to happen.
Happen.
Number one is fear of change. Like many victims of Stockholm syndrome, some Nigerians fear the unknown more than they fear continued oppression. Calls for systemic change are sometimes met with apathy, resistance, and nostalgia, and previous corrupt regimes. They keep
Yeah.
being continue to do the same cycle. Look at what
Yes,
is
that's
happening with this current government.
yes,
Reality is coming to play right now because there is another election coming in 2 years.
yes.
Now, all of a
Okay,
sudden, it's going to be the same thing. So, what
it's
it
going to be
is a lot of people are in the survival mode, and that's
mood.
what's causing this. That is what's causing it. And
Thank you,
then
George.
you see a lot of the same type of people. They come, you vote for them. Who is it that you're going to be voting for that will show you true and honest governance that can bring improvement in the country?
Let's
It's all
let's wait and
recycled.
see. Let's wait
It's
and see
recycled.
what happens as we go on. Thank you, George. There's a report of a $7.4 billion fraud, but we might not talk about that. Raji, I don't know, BD and Raji, do you guys have that update? It came out yesterday. Two,
Hmm.
they are foreigners anyway. Two foreigners that have played a smart one with us, Kevin Shang and Wilson Wong. They are suspected for operating a kind of trading that violates our oil deal. So maybe we'll talk about that on Monday between the lines if you guys can dive in. It came in as a breaking news last night. So, but before we
But it's not,
go,
it's not a breaking news. That thing started since
okay,
2019. It's
uh
not a
huh,
breaking news. It started since
okay,
2019. But it's
okay.
actually quite long. Maybe, like you said, next week we'll talk about it.
Yes, it's a big one anyway. NMPC and the fraud. All right. Before we go, let me say that right here in Italy, there's a beautiful town here in Italy. We have beautiful towns here. Venice, where they have that story of the merchant of Venice. So
Yeah,
guess what's
I've been
happening
I've
there?
been, I've been there actually.
Wow, beautiful place. Guess what's happening there today? It started yesterday, today, tomorrow. The owner of Amazon,
Jeff
Jeff
Bezos,
Bezos, yes, Jeff and his new
bride.
wife, um, Sandra Sanchez. Sorry, Sanchez. They are having a big wedding there. Let's see this small clip before we go. I know BD will want. What you're seeing there is how the cruise has been. They've been coming all the way from Croatia on a yacht cruise. Croatia, and they were having that bubble party, and now they are in. Yeah, that's okay. Anyway,
I'm even wondering.
Jeff
I'm
and the
wondering
wife.
why he's getting married again. I'm
Yes,
worried
very.
that yeah. If I've escaped one prison, I won't be in a hurry to enter another one.
Uh,
You
So
spoke like
so
an African man.
yeah, a real African man. You see, the thing about it is, even the Bible talks about, the way of men with young maidens. You see,
Hmm.
her stomach was so small, and the curves, are so beautiful, and it fits the billions of, dollars that are being spent. Jeff Bezos is just looking for a way to splurge and make himself happy. So
but
the woman is
somehow,
beautiful.
yeah,
She
somehow,
look almost like the Kardashians, and they're gonna be in the
yeah,
wedding
yeah.
too.
Yeah, they are all there. They've all flown in. Everybody's there now. The Kardashians, even Trump's daughter and the family.
Ivanka.
Yeah, Ivanka, they're all here now. So Italy is loaded with all the elites,
The who is
so-called.
who's.
Yes. So BD, I
This
know
another form.
women like this kind of thing. BD,
Aye,
how will you say to the
the
wedding
lady is
of
beautiful. Oh, she's very beautiful.
This
yeah.
another form of Stockholm
I'm happy
syndrome.
for them. Saraki, I'm happy for them, and I just pray that the guy should, take it easy with her and I think marriage is all about decision. If you ask me, love and decision. And what is that decision? Telling yourself that this marriage is going to work. That does what I mean is that because when you go into marriage, there certainly is going to be a disagreement problem. But when you've made that decision that this marriage is going to work, you people can sit down and sort things out. But if you have not made that decision, any little problem, you walk away. Any little problem, you just turn your back. But you have to make that decision. It's a personal decision. I want to get married,
No.
and this marriage is going to work. So I
But
hope they will
you
do
Nice.
see,
that.
All right.
in this
Yeah.
Jeff was married to.
in this situation, what you're seeing, the man will always say it's cheaper to keep her, but the woman will always say it's better for me to get away and take half with me. Because Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, ended up with how many billions? Almost half,
Yes.
$500 billion.
God has signed a
You
new
know,
law that
you
will
know.
not allow that happen again. And
So
it's the
unless
law.
there was a prenup in this particular marriage, then
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos, you remember what happened to this, what's his name again? The one that plays golf, the black guy that
Tiger
plays
Woods.
Tiger
Yeah,
Tiger
Tiger
Woods.
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 So you see, most of these women that enter into this relationship,
It's transaction.
I tell you, they mastermind the planning from the very beginning. Do you
It's a
understand? And
transaction.
when they get in and they see the enjoyment of that money and what it's all about, and I can do better by myself type of attitude, they want to exit and take that money and live their life the way they want to. But the man will always want to say, "Hey, stay, baby," because it's cheaper to keep you. The woman will say, "I want half." So I hope that's not the case in this one.
It
All
can
right,
be.
Jenny.
If
Reggie, go
if
ahead.
the case, it can be. Otherwise, that would be a clear case of Stockholm syndrome for
That's
Jenny.
it. That's
But
it. That's
Saraki,
somehow, I'm not happy with Jeff because I followed Jeff from his early days. Jeff was with the
Mm.
wife, the initial wife, and they built that thing together, even though he was more into the building. But they built this wealth and everything, and somehow he just kicked her out and took in this. And
Well,
mind
no,
you,
no, no,
this
no,
lady
no,
is also the wife
bro,
of another billionaire. She's the wife
bro.
of another billionaire,
Which
and
one?
yeah, the lady, the Sanchez he's marrying today is somebody
Mm-hmm.
else's wife. And that billionaire is Jeff's
Ex-
best friend. Can you imagine? A lot. All right, gentlemen. We'll be back on Monday.
oh.
Yes, we'll be back on Monday. These are my
Yeah.
people, we're in the tech media line. So I follow their story too. All right, we'll be
Okay.
back on Monday. George, thank you. Thank you for coming and all the
Solid.
beautiful
Listen,
impact.
fellas. Friday,
Yes.
this is a good weekend. I want you to get
Mm.
out there, enjoy yourself, have fun. It's a one life to live. All right. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless my president and all the leaders in Nigeria. Grant them the wisdom to lead this
Mhm.
country into that paradise that we are looking for. Have a
Nice.
wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Reggie, go ahead.
I'm surprised George is praying for a paradise. There's no paradise.
Oh,
But
there is
meanwhile,
paradise.
I wish us all a happy weekend. Enjoy
Thank you.
yourself.
All
Stay
right,
alive and stay cheerful. Yes.
the
Keep hope
diva in
alive.
the house. The diva in the house. Come on, tell us.
I wish everyone all the best. Just
Mhm.
be nice to people out there. People are going through a lot. Be nice with your words
Mm,
and
mm,
keep love alive, as just said.
Wow,
I'm
beautiful.
I'm just
All right,
loving the way you look today,
I
Diva.
tell you,
I'm loving it.
she's
Ow,
as-
oh, goodness.
looking
Thank you, Benjamin.
astonishing. All
Thank
right,
you.
gentlemen. Thank you, viewers. This is it. We crop it up for the week. SSM and all the news updates. And thank you guys for being there. Bye bye.
Deuce.
thank you.